How do you get that brilliant, complex strategy out of your head and into the hearts and minds of your team, your peers, and yes, your board? How do you make sure it actually gets done and not just filed away in some folder to die?
So just ask yourself this, honestly. You've probably spent weeks, maybe even months, crafting this perfect plan. But right now, where does it live? Is it sitting inside some dense 100-page document? Because if it is, let's be real, it might as well be trapped in a locked room. Today, we're going to talk about how to set it free.
Let's just call this what it is, the 100-page trap. It's this idea that more details somehow means more rigor, when what it really does is create confusion and, worse, inaction. Let me tell you a quick story that just brings this to life perfectly.
Okay, so picture this. There's a chief strategy officer, and she is about to present a massive new corporate strategy to the board. It's a huge deal. Her team has built this monster, 150-page deck. I mean, it's got everything. Market analysis, financial models, the whole shebang. But she just knows what's going to happen. The board is going to get lost in the weeds, and the whole conversation is going to go off the rails.
So what'd she do? 2 days before the meeting, she did something kind of radical. She told her team to scrap the deck. Instead, she gave them a new mission. Take all 150 of those pages and distill the entire thing into a single, compelling one-page visual. That kind of pressure, that radical constraint, it forced them to find the absolute soul of the strategy.
And the result? Well, it speaks for itself. She walked into that board meeting with just that one slide. She used it to tell a story, a clear, simple, strategic story. And the board? They didn't just get it. They approved the entire plan in under an hour. That single page made all the difference in the world.
What we're really looking at here are two completely different worlds. It's night and day. On one side, you've got the trap. Dense, academic, abstract, and ultimately ignored and forgotten. But on the other side, you have impact. Clear, accessible visuals that create a shared mental model for everyone. And that is what leads to real execution. It's a fundamental shift in how we communicate.
So the big question is, how do you actually make that leap? Well, it's all about finding what I like to call your nugget of gold, that core visual logic of your strategy. Let's dive into the framework that helps you find it.
Now, the goal here isn't just to make one pretty picture. It's to create what we call a visual guide. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a storybook for your strategy. It's a series of simple, interconnected visuals that when you put them all together, tell a complete and coherent story. This becomes the common language for your entire organization.
And the great news is, you don't have to just invent this out of thin air. There's a repeatable process called the visual storytelling cascade. It breaks this whole challenge down into 4 really logical steps, taking you from that super high-level overview all the way down to a concrete example that anyone can understand. Okay, step 1. The big picture. This is your strategy on a page, just like that chief strategy officer created. It's the master diagram, the one that shows the entire flow from your vision all the way to implementation. Think of it as the map that lets everyone see how all the pieces actually connect. All right, so once you have that main map, it's time to zoom in. For each major piece of your big picture diagram, let's say you have a phase called visioning, you create a dedicated slide that breaks that phase down into its smaller parts. You're just adding one layer of detail at a time, but you're doing it visually and logically. Now, this next part is where it starts to get really practical. For any of those critical concepts inside your zoom in, you provide the specific tool for the job. You're not just saying we'll do competitive analysis. No, you're showing the exact competitive parity tool or the 2x2 matrix your team is actually going to use. It makes the abstract totally tangible.
And this last step, this is where the magic happens. This is where it all clicks. You show the tool, but this time it's filled in with real or even just illustrative data. This is that concrete example that makes the whole concept instantly understandable for anyone. Whether they're in finance, marketing, or engineering, they can finally see what you mean.
Okay, so a powerful framework is great, but, it's useless if you don't actually put it into practice. This isn't just some communication trick. This is a leadership tool. So let's look at how you can build this into your team's day-to-day rhythm. So here are 4 really simple rules to start embedding this thinking. First, one slide, one idea. That's not a guideline, it's a rule. It forces brutal clarity. Second, train your team to think in frameworks, 2x2s, flowcharts, you name it, so they structure their thoughts visually from the get-go. Third, create a consistent visual language, so a circle always means the same thing. And finally, and this is the big one for you as a leader, you have to demand this clarity. Your go-to question should always be, hey, can you put this on one page for me? You want a really cool, kind of non-obvious way to know if this is working? Here's a fantastic metric to track, especially in virtual meetings: the screenshot rate. When you see people start screenshotting your slides, you know you've nailed it. You've created a visual that is so clear and so valuable that they want to save it and share it. It's an amazing leading indicator of clarity.
Now, a quick word of warning here. There are a few common traps you've got to watch out for. The goal is always clarity, not just making a prettier deck. Make sure your thinking is solid before you visualize it. And please don't try to force a problem into a framework that just doesn't fit. And always remember with visuals, less is almost always more.
All right, so we've covered the problem, we've walked through the framework, and we've talked about implementation. Now it's time to make this super real. Let's talk about the single most powerful action you can take with your team this Monday morning.
Here it is. It's this simple. This Monday, in your team meeting, just put this one question on the table. How can we put our entire strategy on one page? That's it. Don't even try to solve it right then and there. Just ask the question. I promise you, it will spark a completely different kind of conversation, one that's focused on simplicity, clarity, and the absolute core of what you're all trying to do. And as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this final thought to carry with you. What is the single visual that best explains your team's most important initiative right now? If you don't have an immediate answer, well, you've just found your most important work for next week.